Hi, this is Rachel with Rachel's Reviews, and I couldn't sleep, and so I thought, why not make a video and have a little bit of fun? Today is Mother's Day, and Mother's Day can be a little bit of a hard day sometimes for me. I'm not married, and I do not have a family of my own, so it can just be a little bit sad. So I thought, why not have fun with it and make a little list of my favorite mothers from movies. And so I'm going to start out with Lorraine from Back to the Future. This is 1985. It's played by Leah Thompson. And this is a really fun movie mom because the Michael J. Fox character, Marty McFly, he gets to meet his mother as a teenager and see her as this totally new person. He doesn't even recognize her at first. And I think when you're a teenager, it's really hard to see your parents as real people, flesh and bones, and mistakes and dreams and heartbreaks and all of that. And it wasn't until I was really, I think, in college that I kind of got it, that they weren't just the authority figure, that they were real people, and that he gets the opportunity to meet his mother and to have the adventure that he has surrounding her and trying to get his father and mother together. And it's a lot of fun. It's very well done. It's very charming, and I think Lily Thompson is great. I think it does feel like the same person as old Lorraine and young Lorraine. All right, the next person I'm going to talk about is Miss Leanne from The Blind Side, and this was made in 2009, and she, of course, is played by Sandra Bullock, this Oscar-winning role, and it's the true story of the Toohey family, led by Leanne, that they take in a boy from the school nicknamed Big Mike, and she becomes his mother, and she grows to love this boy, this huge boy, and she's tough talking and she's spunky, but there's a really great heart to all of it, and I think that they have a great chemistry together, and I like her relationship with all of the other children. And she just seems like a very real, yes, sentimental character. Yes, it is a kind of corny movie, but I really think it does what it's trying to do very, very well, and I love it. It's definitely the kind of movie that if I'm feeling down and want an inspirational flick, then this is the kind of thing that I would like to put on. And the performances are very fun, and it is just very heartwarming. So I love Sandra Bullock in it, and it's definitely one. If you haven't seen it by some miracle, go check it out. It's a really fun movie. Okay, then next on my list I have from the movie My Left Foot, made in 1989. This is Bridget Brown, the mother of Christy Brown, and she's played by Brenda Fricker. This is also an Academy Award-winning performance, and it is a beautiful movie. It does have a lot of language, just a warning, but it's the story of Christy Brown, who has cerebral palsy, and he can't communicate with his mother at all until he's, I think, 8 or 9. He can't talk to her, he can't do anything, and she is so determined to involve him in everything, and she never stops communicating with him and believing in him, and it is really moving. In the first scene in the movie that he is able to finally communicate with the family, the first word that he writes with his left foot is mother, and it's just a beautiful moment, and she never gives up on her son, and it's not in a patronizing way or a disease of the month way. It's just a very human way, and it's set in Ireland, and she has, I think the actress is from Ireland, and It's just a beautiful movie. If you haven't seen it, definitely give it a watch. And Daniel Day-Lewis is amazing, of course, as he always is, as Christy Brown. And Brenda Fricker is right there with him as far as the performance level. And it's just so beautiful. Somebody that has every reason to feel sort of sorry for herself. She's from a poor family, don't have a lot of money, don't have a lot. She has a lot of burdens, but instead she is so hopeful and never gives up on her family. The next one that I have, next mother, is Helen Parr from The Incredibles. This is 2004, and Helen Parr is probably the toughest housewife in movie history. She is Elastigirl. She's a superhero, and she, at the beginning of the movie, falls in love with her husband and Mr. Incredible, and she loves her family so much that she's willing to put aside her skills and abilities and everything else in order that her family can lead a normal, happy life. And she makes that sacrifice, and she does it with a smile, and she kind of reins in all the chaos that her family causes. And it's just really funny, very well done. The voice is Holly Hunter, and she's really good. And it's and of course, once she has to be tough and be the superhero again, she does, and she does willingly because she wants to save her family. And it's, like I said, it's a really wonderful voice performance. It's a wonderful story, and she is equally as tough and is equally as important to saving the family as her husband. And so I love Pixar. I love I think they're just brilliant films, but in The Incredibles is definitely would be up there in my top 4 favorite Pixar's movies, and she's a great part of that family. Okay, next we have Fantine from Les Miserables, and this was in 2012, and it's played by Anne Hathaway, another Oscar-winning performance. And I had my doubts when I heard that Fantine was going to be played by Anne Hathaway, because this is my favorite thing in the world. I love Les Mis so much. I've seen it twice on Broadway. I've seen it every other time I could see it. I love the music so much. And I just was skeptical. I didn't know if she could pull it off, but she does a wonderful job. I totally bought it. Fantine is really only in about 3 scenes of the play and the movie, and so she has to make a big impact in really only 1 song and a couple other small scenes. And I thought that Anne Hathaway totally was able to do that and make a real impact on the film, and somebody you kept in the back of your mind as the story progressed. And everything that she does, everything that Fantine sacrifices for, is because of her daughter and her love for Cosette and her desire to give something better for Cosette than what her life has turned into. And in many cases, it's a completely tragic story that, you know, that she wants her child to have this better life, but in reality, she's really not having that better life until Jean Valjean comes, and she finally basically gives up her life for her child and pays the ultimate of sacrifices for Cosette. And she loves Cosette so much, and she knows that she's a sort of a folly of youth, but she loves her. I know the movie has flaws, but I still love it. Then the next one is probably one you guys might not have heard of. I don't know. It is not a performance, it's a documentary, and it is Big Edith Bouvier Beale, from the documentary Grey Gardens. And this one I put in because it is one of the best documentaries ever made, for sure, no doubt. And basically, Big Edith and Little Edith, in 1975, They were discovered by these documentary filmmakers to be relatives of Jackie Onassis, and they lived in this big old house in the Hamptons, I think, and come up and they film this documentary, and there are raccoons in the house, there's big holes in the wall, there's cats everywhere, and the thing I like the most about the movie is that they are actually kind of fine with the little world that they've created. They don't need anybody's approval for the crazy world that they have created for their family. And it is a mother-daughter, and little Edie kind of steals the movie in a way because she has their crazy style and her fashion. You really do feel like you're a fly on the wall, but of these people's lives, but also that they know that they are being filmed, and so that you know that they're kind of mugging it for the camera. It's just a great documentary, great film. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out. My next choice is I wanted to pick one person who didn't actually have children of her own, and for me, that person I immediately think of is Julia Child. I loved her book. I love these sections about Julia Child from Julie and Julia. I'm not a big fan of Julie Powell. I don't like her book, and but I love Julia Child, and I love Meryl Streep's performance in this movie. And what inspires me so much about Julia Child is that she says in her book, she found her raison d'être, her reason to live, and that was in cooking and in sharing her cookbook and her recipes with the world. And she didn't graduate from culinary school until she was almost 40, which is really inspiring to me, that somebody could like have the gumption to just start a whole nother life. And I just love her so much. She's one of my favorites. It's a great performance, and I love, like I said, the Julia Child parts of the movie are just some of my favorites. I love Nora Ephron. She was the screenwriter, the adapter of that movie. Then I wanted to pick one kind of wicked performance, and it is the Mother Gothel from the 2010 Disney animated movie Tangled. And this is one of my favorite Disney villains I think they've ever done. I mean, it's so wicked to have they've had a lot of mothers who are evil, like Lady Tremaine and Cinderella, but this was the first one that I could remember that was duplicitous, that was putting on a show of being a good mother, but in reality was a very evil mother. And I love that. I think it is so brilliant. And she has a great song, Her Mother Knows Best, and it's one of the best villain songs that I heard in a long time. It's a really funny song. It's a funny character because it is so dripping and so evil, and so I just really enjoy it. I love Tangled. I thought it was just great, and there was parts of that movie that could appeal to boys and girls, and I love it. I think it's great. So the next film that I want to talk about is the 1996 film Mother. This might be one that you might not have heard of. And in the movie, the mother is named Beatrice Henderson, and she's played by Debbie Reynolds in an amazing performance. Albert Brooks is her son, and he's basically kind of blamed her for all of his life problems. And he's going through his second divorce. He's not happy. And he decides to move back home and find out what it is between him and his mother that is making him have such poor relationships and make such poor choices in his life. And as he comes to do this, he of course is really frustrated by his mother at first, and she is really quirky. She freezes the lettuce and freezes everything, and she'll drive around the parking lot for miles and miles and miles, and she won't buy the expensive jam. She just is a penny pincher on everything, and it's just so funny. I love it. But it's a great performance, but also like he gets to learn that that his mother is a real person. He's finally learning what I guess Michael J. Fox learned in Back to the Future, but he learns that she had to sacrifice a lot to be his mother, and he had never really dealt with that, and that she had always held a little bit of resentment because she had had to give up a lot to be his mother. And it's just a funny, heartfelt, tender movie. Go see it. Our next mother is from all the Harry Potter movies. It's Mrs. Weasley, Molly Weasley. She's of course, the mother to the Weasley boys, including Ron and Ginny, of course. And she is your classic, nurturing, loving, kind mother. And she's not only mother to her children, but also to everyone around her. She's certainly the mother figure for Harry, and for Hermione, for all of the characters. She's definitely the mother of the movies. And of course, Harry's mother has died, and you don't really ever get to meet Hermione's mother, and that I can recall at least. And so, she's the warmth, the loving mother to all of these characters. And every other woman, I think, in the Harry Potter stories is kind of tough and grizzled, and like a Professor McGonagall, who isn't necessarily the most nurturing person, but Mrs. Weasley is there, but she's also kind of tough, and she gets tougher as the series grows, and in the final movie she has her kind of ultimate tough girl moment where she gets to kill the bad girl, and it's almost cheering in the theater at that moment. And so she's not a weak person just because she is a nurturing, loving person. But it's great, and great performance too by Julie Walters. All the acting in the Harry Potter movies is great. Then the next one is, I would say, the greatest stepmother in all of movies. The stepmothers get kind of a bad rap when it comes to movies, and this would be Maria von Trapp in The Sound of Music, and of course played by Julie Andrews. And this is one of my favorite movies of all time. This was made in 1965, the Rodgers and Hammerstein musical that was written originally for Mary Martin, and Julie Andrews made it her own. I mean, they added new songs, they moved things around. It is better than the stage version, if you've ever seen it. And she is so warm, and she's so nurturing, and she uses music to win the kids over, and she doesn't take herself too seriously. And I think that's one of the great things in the differences between Captain Von Trapp and Maria, is that she doesn't necessarily take everything so seriously that he's been taught to do as a military man, as a captain. And she brings love and warmth into the family for the first time. And I think a lot of that's symbolized by bringing music into the family. And, we all have different gifts that as mothers, whether we're stepmothers or anything else, that we can then bring into our families and use those gifts to nurture and inspire the children in our lives. And I think she's a great example of that. She's somebody that the kids feel very comfortable with, that they can go to, that Liesel will go to with her problems, that they trust her, they love her, and they feel that she will be understanding and will listen. She's a great listener, and just one of the greatest movies and greatest love stories in movies, if I had to pick. I love her and Captain Von Trapp. All right, I guess that's all of the ones I had picked. I went by really fast. So which ones would be your favorite? Which ones would you pick? And if you've seen any of the movies that I mentioned, I probably have, of course. Have you not seen any of them? It made you want to go and check it out and see if check any of them out. Let me know. I'd love to hear. And thanks so much. And happy Mother's Day. Love you guys.